Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, text number 24. Yebhyartitamapi chanon rugatim prapanna Gnanam cha tattva vishayam saha dharmam yatra Naradhanam bhagavato vitarantyamushya Sammohita vitataya bhatamaya yate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of such importance that we also desire to have such life. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature." Translation with repetition. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the condition of the human being who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and His transcendental abode, Vaikuntha. The human form of life is desired even by Brahmaji. Brahma and other demigods have much better material bodies than human beings. Yet the demigods, including Brahma, nevertheless desire to attain the human form of life because it is specifically meant for the living entity who can attain transcendental knowledge and religious perfection. It is not possible to go back to Godhead in one life, but in the human form, one should at least understand the goal of life and begin Krishna consciousness. It is said that the human form is a great boon because it is the most suitable boat for crossing over the nation's ocean. The spiritual master is considered to be the most able captain in that boat. And the information from the scriptures is the favorable wind for floating over the ocean of nations. The human being who does not take advantage of all these facilities in this life is committing suicide. Therefore, one who does not begin Krishna consciousness in the human form of life loses his life to the influence of the illusory energy. Brahma regrets the situation of such a human being. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we are seeing in this part of the Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma describing the Vaikuntha Loka. And in the previous verse, Lord Brahma began saying, who are the people who can't reach to the Vaikuntha planets? Because very soon he is going to tell who can reach the Vaikuntha planet. So he began by saying, it is very much yanna vrajanti agabidho rachananuvada. Na vrajanti. They will not attain, they will not reach Vaikuntha. Continuing the same thought, in this verse, Lord Brahma is saying, Ye abhyartitam api chano nrugatim prapanna. Nrugatim, the position of a human being, the human form of life. Nrugatim prapanna, to attain the human form of life. Naha abhyartitam, Even we demigods desire this. Ye bhyartitam apicha nondrugatim prapanna. So Lord Brahma is saying, this is the greatness of the human form of life, that even we desire in the demigods, in the heavenly planets, even we aspire to take birth as human beings. Because, why is it? This human form of life, nrugatim, enables jnanam cha tattva vishayam saha dharmam yatra. It enables one to understand true knowledge, jnanam, tattva vishayam. Tattva means actually absolute truth. Tattva, satya, param tattva, param brahma. These are all words used in the Vedic literatures to describe, and Prabhupada translates them as the absolute truth. Tattva vishayam sahadharmam yatra, and along with religious practices. So, gnanam cha tattva vishayam sahadharmam yatra. So this is what nrugatim, human life, affords. And hence, somebody na aradhanam bhagavato vitarantyamushya. So if someone does not worship the Lord, na aradhanam bhagavataha, na aradhanam, he does not perform the aradhanam vitaranti amushya of the Lord, such a person is sammohita vitataya bhatamayayate. Te sammohita, he is being completely illusioned by mayaya. Te mayaya sammohita. And what kind of mayaya? Vitataya mayaya sammohita. This maya, which is powerful, spread everywhere, creating that influence in every aspect of our life. Sammohita vitataya bhatamayayate. So, Lord Brahma said, my dear demigods, he's addressing the demigods, the human form of life, nrugatim, is of such importance that we also desire to have such life. Naha abhyartitam. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. Jnanam cha tattva vishayam sahadharmam yatra. If one in this human form of life does not understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His abode, na aradhanam bhagavato na aradhanam, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of external nature. Sammohita vitataya bhatamayayate. Here and in the previous verse, Lord Brahma used hanta. And here he has used the word bhata. These words indicate a certain kind of a hanta, alas. Here bhata also, Prabhupada has used alas. This person is under the influence of external nature. He's not realizing the great benefit of human form of life he has got. Alas, what a waste. It's like saying somebody had 1 crore rupee check and then he left it on the table and then forgot and went away. And then you say, alas, 1 crore check you left like that and went away. I missed it, I lost it. Ah, what a foolish thing you have done. You know, that kind of a feeling that it is such a loss, Lord Brahma is expressing. And Srila Prabhupada has pointed out in the purport, that is why Prabhupada is using this sentence. Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the condition of the human being who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and His transcendental abode, Vaikunta. So, the human form of life is very special. The the cognitive powers of a human being are far superior when compared to any other species that we see in this world. Even anyone can recognize that. And yes, there are very different kinds of analysis about the human form of life and its special capabilities. One capability, actually, recently I was talking about this to a small group of students, and then this subject came up, that one of the abilities in the human form of life, which is very special, is we have the ability to do cause-effect analysis. We see some effect and we like to know what is the cause. We look for the cause. We search for the cause and we want to know the cause. Just like we hear about an aircraft crashed. Next thing that if you're reading in the newspaper, you will be also looking, did they find the black box? And what did they find in the black box? Why did it happen? Because it's supposed to tell us why the crash happened. Right? So we are looking for a cause. There's a reason, we'll come to that one. Why all these abilities exist. So we look for, and we have, even animals to some extent do some cause-effect analysis. They are able to perceive some causes and respond to it. But the way human beings are designed and the way human beings have the ability to do cause-effect analysis is far, far superior when compared to any other animals. The second interesting feature of a human life is the range of emotions that a human being can exhibit, can appreciate, can understand, is something very, very much, much different than any other living entities can. And we see that always in the cinemas and all of this complex plots and how different emotions are brought out. So the range of emotions that a human beings are designed to exhibit is something very, very much more than other animals. The third ability of a human being, human nature, is our ability to tell stories. We tell stories. And we like to tell stories. Right? That we can, and actually all the modern cinema and all of that is actually storytelling using technology and all of that. So it's all good storytelling. And we like to tell stories. People like to hear stories being told. And it's very interesting. We don't see this in animals. At least as far as possible we can understand. We don't see them, pack of dogs sitting together and telling, yesterday what happened, day before yesterday, what happened. We don't see, it doesn't look like they are able to tell stories. And very closely connected to this is ability to crack jokes. Right? Only human beings have that ability to crack jokes. We tell stories which are comical and we laugh at it. Animals don't have that ability. See, all these abilities are not there. And the next ability we see in the human form of life is our ability to create poetry, art, music, dance, all of these things. Now animals may exhibit some kind of a music, and some kind of birds have a musical ability and even some dance and all of that. But the way human beings can do with a certain amount of sophistication, no animals can actually match that. So human beings have this extraordinary ability of poetry, music, art and all of these things. Human beings also have great ability to do math, count, measure. Again, it's related to cause-effect in some ways, but we can develop complex mathematical concepts. Human beings have developed. This is another ability. And one more ability that if you study human nature, you will see is that our ability to use language to communicate. See, we communicate, we use language, and our language is usually associated with grammar, complex rules, and we have the ability to master those rules and use those rules very ably. This is like, say, if I make one mistake, like I'm speaking now in English and you are all hearing, if I make one mistake in the language, you will immediately sense, hey, something went wrong. Right? Like if I speak Hindi, I'm sure all of you will immediately start making out, hey, this is not all right. So, our ability to use language and sense language, like this, there are many, many abilities. So you can see that how human abilities are so special compared to any other animals. Scientists tell us that the chimpanzees have 96, 97, sometimes 98% of the DNA like human beings. Although they have a human DNA which is like human being, they are not 98% human at all. They are 100% beast. Right? If we have a chimpanzee sitting in the room now and we are talking, he will understand anything we are discussing. He will be a beast, 100%. He'll behave like a beast only. So there is something more than whatever DNA structure that scientists have figured out, is something much more that human ability, human consciousness has been endowed with. So, this ability enables us to understand higher truths, spiritual concepts, and it is meant for that. So I was describing this to a small group of students recently, and then I was telling them that instead of using the human extra ability for doing Brahma Jignasa, we spend our life just like what animals do. Animals also do Jignasa, but their Jignasa is for Ahara Jignasa, Nidra Jignasa, Bhaya Jignasa, and Maithuna Jignasa. So I was describing to them Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithuna, these type of things we do. But actually human beings are capable of this. This is the extra ability. So one bright student, he asked me at the end of the discussion, he asked a question. If we are meant for Brahma Jignasa, as you said, then why is it that it is not as easy and natural as Ahara Jignasa, Bhaya Jignasa, Nidra? All that is so natural and we run after that. But Brahma Jignasa is not so natural. Why is it? So it's a good question. Actually, Srila Prabhupada explains that this Jignasa ability is there in every human being, and at a very early stage in our human form of life, we start manifesting it. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, small children, when they learn to speak, and immediately they start exploring the world and asking parents various questions. And we know that story Prabhupada told about his own son. He asked the question, he saw a marriage procession and started asking various questions. And Prabhupada, as a father, started describing to him. And then in the end he asked, Papa, are you also married? And everyone who was around in the tram car laughed at the question, innocent question of the child. So actually, as children, we begin this Jignasa. But that Jignasa requires training and direction. When that training and direction is not there, the Vedic training and direction is not there, that Jignasa ability gets misused. And in fact today it is because of the Jignasa ability of the human being, all of the science and technology that we have. They have developed all these things with a lot of thinking and deliberation. All of that has come about. But if it was properly directed, or it can be further directed, is to understand, like Lord Brahma is saying here, Jnanam cha tattva vishayam sadharmam yatra. And Prabhupada has used this nice word for religious perfection. In fact, the Bhagavatam, what Bhagavatam presents is the perfection of religion. What is that perfect religion? So, what is the highest religious concept? What is the perfect religious concept? Is what Bhagavatam is presenting. And that is to understand Krishna, Krishna's abode, what is our relationship, and what we should do, how do we relate with it, and how ultimately we belong to that abode and we should return to that abode. All of this is actually the perfection of religion, which as human beings we can appreciate, we can understand, we can develop this understanding. And then Srila Prabhupada has said that this human form of life which has got these abilities like a good boat, is a suitable boat. Now if you have a boat, that's not enough. You need a captain for the boat, and that is the spiritual master is compared to the captain. Now, in addition to the captain, you also need favorable winds so that you have the sail and your boat will move in the right direction, and the spiritual master can direct further course, and the favorable winds are considered to be the Vedic literatures. So, the Vedic instruction, the spiritual master, and a human form of life is a perfect combination to understand higher truths, the highest truth, and the perfection of religion. Now, seeing the previous verse and this verse, in the previous verse also Lord Brahma was saying it is highly regrettable that unfortunate people, he used the word hatabhagair, unfortunate people, shrunvanti ye anya vishaya kukatha matignihi. Their intelligence becomes bewildered and they hear other subject matter. Anya vishaya shrunvanti. They hear other subject matter and they don't hear about this. And then here in this verse, in today's verse, he's saying, even though they get the human form of life, which can enable them to understand Tattva Vishaya, which even demigods, as demigods, we desire and we aspire that, still they can't do it. And how unfortunate they are. Why does all this happen? So you have a human form of life, and you have the ability to transcend, go to the spiritual world, and we become interested in other material subject matter, and our mind becomes, intelligence becomes corrupted. Why does all this happen? This is very nicely explained by Prahalad Maharaj in one of the prayers. He says it is because of association of people who are not enlightened in spiritual knowledge. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. When Prahalad was offering his beautiful prayers to Narasimha, one of the prayers he mentions, which Prabhupada quotes this shloka in the poem that Srila Prabhupada wrote on board Jaladuta. So Prahalad says, Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. I have fallen into this Prabhava. Prabhava refers to the material existence, which is like a ahikupe, which is like a pit of snakes. Right? This material world, a very strong example Prahalad is using, that this is like a ahikupa. And nipatitam prabhavahi kupe, I have fallen into this pit, this material existence, because of janam. And evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe. And because of this, what happened? Kama bhikamam anuyaha. Kama, and desire after desire. Different kama bhikamam anuyaha. Anu means, and I am following all these different desires. Life after life, different desires come up, and we pursue those different desires. Desires for wealth, desires for name, fame, power, influence, various things. Kama bikamam anuya prasangat. Prapathan prasangat. Because of prasangat of janam, of common people, I have been developing various desires, life after life, and following these desires. And because of that, I have fallen into this ahikupa. This is what was happening to me. Life after life, I was pursuing desires. Then what happened? Then somehow, by the will of providence, Atmasat Krutva. Atmasat Krutva Sura Rushina Bhagavan Gruhitaha. Then Sura Rushi, that is referring to Narada Muni. Narada Muni took compassion on me and Atmasat Krutva. He brought me, close to himself. Atmasat Krutva, meaning that the Sura Atmasat Krutva Sura Rushina Bhagavan Gruhitaha. My spiritual master, Narada Muni, he brought me close to him. Also Prabhupada explains that it means he elevated me to his state. He was in a transcendental state. The spiritual master, my Sura Rushina, Atmasat Krutva. So the spiritual master, Gruhitaha, Bhagavan Gruhita, he accepted me. Atmasat Krutva, he accepted me and elevated me to his level. Bhagavan, O Bhagavan, Soham, Aham Gruhitaha. In this way, my spiritual master accepted me. Katham no visruje tava bhrutya seva. This is what my spiritual master did. How can I give up his service? Katham no visruje tava bhrutya seva. Tava bhrutya seva. Your servant's seva, how can I give up? And Prabhupada explains, this is a very significant statement by Prahalad, because he is saying, Atmasat Krutva Sura Rushina Bhagavan Gruhitaha Soham Saha Aham Gruhitaha. He accepted me and Atmasat Krutva. This is the meaning of initiation. Initiation means the spiritual master accepts the disciple. And the disciple should also accept the spiritual master. Both ways. Both things has to happen. Then it is called a proper initiation. And when the spiritual master accepts, what happens? Atmasat Krutva. He elevates the disciple to the transcendental state and makes him competent to understand Krishna. Because we cannot understand Krishna unless we come to transcendental state. Because Krishna is in a transcendental state. We have a potential to come to a transcendental state. But right now, due to association of improper, incorrect, ignorant people, we have also prabhavahi kupe, we have also fallen into a material state of consciousness. But my spiritual master accepted me and elevated me to a transcendental state of consciousness. How can I ever give up his service? Prahalad is saying. So this is the duty of, this is what the role of the spiritual master. Spiritual master elevates the disciple. Now there is a role on the part of the disciple. What is that role? The role of the disciple, Prabhupada has explained many times. And in one place, Prabhupada explains very strikingly. He says, Prabhupada's famous class in Los Angeles, he gave this class. He said, I have no personal qualifications, but I have 100% faith in the words of my spiritual master. That is my only qualification. So this is the meaning of this disciple accepting the spiritual master. Disciple accepting the spiritual master means to have 100% faith in the words of the spiritual master and accept that and follow that. And the spiritual master, when he sees such a disciple who is doing that, he will also accept him and elevate him to the transcendental state. This is what happened to me. So how can I ever give up my service to my spiritual master? Tava bhrutya seva. So this is how Prahalad offered his prayers, one of the verses in his prayers to Narasimhadeva. So we have the capability in the human form of life to understand transcendental knowledge much beyond the material knowledge. The knowledge that our senses can perceive, that our mind and intelligence can understand using logic and all of these things. This is much higher knowledge. The fifth state of knowledge Prabhupada talks about. Prakrita knowledge, jnana, aprakrita jnana, adhokshaja jnana, and aprakrita jnana. So like this, there are different stages of knowledge. Pratyaksha jnana, starting with pratyaksha jnana, paroksha jnana, aparoksha jnana, and then there is the adhokshaja jnana and aprakrita. These are the 5 stages of knowledge, beginning with very, very mundane knowledge, which is called the pratyaksha jnana. And all of this is possible in the human form of life for one to gradually realize, and the spiritual master gradually enables this. And how we miss out this opportunity, alas, Lord Brahma is wondering. Such a great opportunity to understand Krishna's abode, how these human beings, even that form of life, even we desire, how these human beings miss this out. So all of this is meant to remind us that what a special thing that we have in the human form of life, and we should not miss this opportunity. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada.